to take an existing Excel file like the one you're seeing. This is the send call data Excel file that you can download. It has several columns with product, customer, country, NAFTA trade rules, CETA trade rules, order date, and so on. This data should look familiar. We could take this and import this into Access, and it will create a ready-made database based on those columns for you. In order to do that, you want to make sure that your column headings are nice and clean. I tend not to put spaces between words in the headings, and the heading should only be one row. And take out the titles and everything. You want the data to be nice and clean. Once we import it into Access, and we'll do this in a minute, you actually have to then clean up each field and you're good to go. So let's have a look. I'm going to go into Access, and when you open Access for the first time, it could be daunting. There's a lot of features and a lot of options. You could use one of these ready-made databases. These are templates. So for example, if you wanted to do one for inventory, there's one in here for inventory. But the thing is, it'll be designed by somebody else, and it's like buying a cheap system, difficult to modify. There's a lot of code in there. You can certainly do that. That's not a problem. And you can always go on the internet and download even more templates for free. What I like to do is start with the blank database, and that's our purpose, is to learn how to build one so that we can appreciate one in our organizations that we might be using. So first thing you can do is give it a name, and I'm going to call this, let's call this send call orders, and choose the directory where the file is going to be. Now I want to create a blank database, or click create. And when you click create, this is what you're going to get. Now, step one, it starts you off with the table. Now, I don't want to do that, so I'm going to click this X. And I should tell you right now, don't ever close the database using this X on the top. Because when a database opens, it actually puts files into the computer's registry. If you do these, those entries might actually be damaged. So you can use this X to close the table. That's not a problem. But if you ever want to close the database, you must go to File and then close the database. And that puts the database asleep, okay? So let's go back to the Home tab. Now what I want to do is take that Excel file that we had before, and you might need to play around with how to save the Excel file as a workbook, which version it is, and so on. So I'm going to go to the External Data tab, and I want to import data. Now the data could be in a number of different formats. Mine is in Excel, so I'm going to click on Excel, choose where the file is, and it's actually on my desktop, and it's called Send Call Data. Click Open. Now you don't have to worry about too much of these things. If you're not sure, just choose the option it gives you. In this case, it's saying, do you want to import the data into a new table, or do you want to link the data to an actual table that you've created? Well, we haven't created anything yet, so we want to create a brand new table. We're going to click OK, and it's going to show you each column. So now don't worry about these options if you're not sure what they are. Just take whatever it gives you. Click Next. Yep, the first row does contain the heading, so if you uncheck that, it thinks the word product is an actual product, customer is an actual customer. So make sure you check that. It's already checked anyways. Click Next. You don't again have to worry about these things because we set up our Excel file very nice and very clean. Click Next, Next, and Finish. And yep, it's imported the data. Click Close, and what you get in Access is a table right here. So that's your first main table. That's what we call a master table. Let's have a look. Double click on it, and it looks just like Excel. You can do the same things as you could in Excel, like click, and you can sort, click up here, do auto filters, and so on. Not interesting so far. As a matter of fact, we now have to go through each of these fields and change the properties because Excel did not bring the properties over. So in the Home tab, you want to click on this Design View button. So it looks like a protractor, a pencil, a ruler, looks like an architect's tools, a designer. You can click on the arrow, choose Design View. So we're always going to be going from Design View to Datasheet View, Design View to Datasheet View to look at our work. Okay, so let's go here, and these are all the fields. So take a look. This is my master table right here. We have to go through each one and say, okay, what is it? What does it look like? What are the properties? So the first one is ID. And ID is automatic. We want each product, or each sale in this case, to have a unique ID number so that we don't get two exact sales with the same customer, the same product name, the same date, the same amount to be duplicate. So an ID number is simply an automatic number that'll never be double. And there is a key to the left of it, and that's called a primary key. But if you right click, you can always uncheck the primary key so it won't be primary. Generally, you do want a primary key because it's the one thing about all of this data that is unique. So think about your student number. Your name is not unique. There might be 50 people with exactly your name, even in the same program, but your student ID number is unique. So if I were to pick up your student ID number from a box of data and lift it up, everything about you will come along with it. So for now, just leave it. It is a primary key. Now let's click on product. So if you think about product, it is text, right? The box that we're going to get, you can type in text. But down here, it says it's 255 characters or spaces long. Well, that's what you want to set up. Now, if you left it at 255, you're not going to notice a difference right now. But when you try to do reports and so on, that box is going to be that big, and it gets kind of messy and inefficient. So let's say our product, let's say Bringa or Fluky, let's make it 7. So size 7. Our customer, the longest customer name I think I have is Southmart, so let's make that 15. So you want to make the number as high as you need to accommodate the longest thing that will appear in that particular field. So let's just do a few of these. Country I think is only 3. Now NAFTA is not text. So although we put yes or a no, is it a NAFTA regulated sale? What we want to do is change that to yes, no. We want to change that to a checkbox. So a check means yes and a blank means no. CETA, same thing. Yes, no. Order date is a date. It is month, day, year. But we could change the format. Just click down here. Click. And we want medium date because medium date is the most efficient date to type in. Unit cost is currency. Unit price is currency. And I'll go back to currency. Look down here. It says decimal places. Now we want that to be 2. So we're going to force it into 2 and not automatic. So let's make that 2. Quantity is a number, gross weight's a number, ship cost currency, we'll make that decimal 2. Transit claim, same thing, decimal 2. Transit minutes number, ship type is text, and I think that would be like carrier and so on. So we'll make that 10. Field size 10. Truck would be text actually because it's a truck number, and we're going to make that 4. And the driver is text. The longest name I suppose we would have is 25. Now I'm just going to add one more to this. So you're allowed to add more fields if you like. So I'll just put notes. So it's going to be a big box where you just want to put certain types of notes. Now take a look. We have text over here or memo. So in the newer version of Access, the 2013 version, you're not going to see the word memo. You'll see short text and long text, but it is the same thing. So that's called a memo. Okay, done. Let's save this. Say yes. It will say some data may be lost because you're shortening the sizes of the fields, but we know that's not going to happen. So click yes, and we can close this, and there we go. Our table is ready to go. Nothing changed. Perfectly fine. So we do have data in here, and what you're going to see is how to create a database from scratch, and then we're going to import the data in, and we'll continue with the rest of Access past that point. But this is how you import data to create a brand new database.